Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Evening Buzz. Sunday, what is this, February 2nd? This is actually Groundhog Day today. So, anyway, I'm Rod Davison coming at you from Fresno, California. And tonight we're going to be talking about silver. And I also got my good friend and business partner on the line tonight, as always.
My name is Paul Charron, and I'm coming to you guys from Las Vegas, Nevada. And of course, just got done watching the Super Bowl, and it was just like a one-sided runaway fest, I guess you could say.
It was a typical Super Bowl blowout.
Right, they were saying that the Super Bowl has been determined by blowouts for the past, I don't know, since time began in Super Bowldom. And just over the last couple of years have been some of the better Super Bowls, but they expected this year to be like this. But I actually think they expected the Broncos to be the one blowing out the Seahawks and not the other way around. But a little bit of a rough start there for Peyton when he got the hike that went past him and hiked football, went back into the end zone and started with the safety, and then from there it was kind of all downhill.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's really a perfect example of, professional sports, professional whatever. Any team can pretty much beat any other team on any day. It just depends on if you got all your cylinders working in the same direction or not that day, and you see that in baseball all the time. You see it in basketball, football. I mean, you just never know. One team always seems to have the energy over the other one on any given day. So you can have what you appear to be the worst team playing the best team, and the worst team could still win because they're all professionals. So
right. I think a lot of it boils down to when you get to that level, it starts to get to be that the thing we talk about a lot is heart. It's about having a better mindset than the other team that day, because obviously they're all world-class football players and world-class athletes, and Peyton Manning, obviously, arguably one of the best quarterbacks in the history of the game, and just, had one of those nights where he was off, and just nothing seemed to go his way. But, they kept fighting, but it just never came back, Yeah,
I mean, I quit watching it at halftime, so I don't even know what it ended up like, but I'm not a big football fan anyways, but so anyway.
It was a little ugly. It was just a little ugly.
Yeah.
So silver. I'm supposed to have all this kind of crazy cool stuff prepared for you guys tonight, but as usual, I didn't realize that today was Super Bowl Sunday, and we had a little get-together for me and my employees, or for my employees at our house here, and so that was a lot of fun. But we're going to talk a little bit about silver tonight and why you guys maybe should own it. I don't know, Rod, if you've got some of your stuff there, but we can show you guys a little bit about. Actually, what we could do is we could actually get a little of the difference of, the collectibles and what bullion is, because I had one of our guys actually ask me the difference, and to be honest with you guys, bullion can be coins, it can be bars. And it can also be just coin slugs, where it's not even like and I always carry one, but I think the ones I have in here are all silver eagles. Right, you've got silver eagles there as well? You're going to have to talk.
This is a Canadian maple leaf here. So this is a Canadian maple leaf that's just basically it's silver bullion, like Paul was talking about. And I don't know, I got a few different ones. There's a Philharmonic one here. There's a what is this one? This one is what is this one? I don't have my glasses on, so I can't really see it. This one I think is a. Oh yeah, this is Elizabeth II.
Right.
So this one's pretty cool too. But I mean, they have a few different things. So on the back side there, So I don't know. They're just kind of cool. I mean, the bullion is basically just this one here is kind of really neat too. This is one of the Indian head um, silver dollars, I guess. So these are all 1 ounce. These are all the 1 ounce coins. So
So
most of these have a face value of $1, but obviously the silver is worth a lot more than that. So
yeah, there's more silver value in the coin than the coin itself. So you don't want to take this coin down and buy $1 worth of gum or
yeah,
candy or anything. Those Queen Elizabeth ones you had, they're a 2 pound coin, right? And then the Canadian Maple Leafs are actually a $5, five
yep,
Canadian dollars, correct?
yes, that's right.
Right. See, like this one here, this is a raw slug. It's actually not, doesn't have any monetary value at all. It is just a raw slug. So I always consider bullion more the like non-coinage, but I guess coins are considered bullion as well. And we're gonna have guys writing hate mail in because it's like, well, bullion's actually this and that. I understand. This stuff here is definitely bullion. When you get into the 10-ounce bars, like these are considered silver bullion. They're more raw metals, a little bit harder to divide up than obviously coins. So what we're trying to get at is showing you guys the difference between various things that people stack and collect. And I'm not going to bring all this stuff out because it's a pain in the butt to get it all back into this case here. But you can, in silver, you can get 10-ounce bars, you can get 100-ounce bars, you can get 1-ounce coins, and that's all in what's considered the bullion. And you can also get it in gold. Do you have a gold piece, don't you?
Yeah, I do. Let me grab it real quick. So this is basically a 1-ounce gold eagle. So it's actually 1 ounce of gold. So it's the gold itself, the coin itself has I think it's a $50 face value.
Face value.
But it's these gold coins this gold coin here is worth, I don't know, between $1,200 and $1,400, I think. So.
Right. So when you're talking about bullion coins or actually just silver bullion bars and things like that, it's the value of the silver, the metal content, the precious metal content in that coin itself that determines the value of that coin. It's not the value that's on the coin itself. Like I said, most of the silver eagles are going to have $1, or all the silver eagles are going to have $1 on them. Maple Leafs 5, and then the Elizabeth coin there, the British sterling silver is a 2-pound coin. And
yeah.
So, and by 2 pound, I mean pound as in the English pound, not 2 pounds as in the weight. So it's a 1 ounce, 2-pound coin. And so those are the types of coins in the silver that you're collecting more for investment value, for the value that the silver contains, and you're waiting for that value to go up. You're basically betting on the fact that the precious metal inside of that coin is going to be worth more money down the road, and it's a buy and hold strategy for the most part for the long term. It's not a short-term strategy. Yeah, you could get into shorting it at sometimes and selling it sometimes and buying lower and all that kind of stuff, but it's really kind of a long-term play, and I don't want to get into too much of that tonight. But that's what we're talking about when you're talking about bullion. It's the more raw metals. It's not the collectibles. Now, hardcore coin collectors will tell you that that's the only way to go when it comes to collecting silver. Now, the other side of that is the numismatic type coins, and I didn't even see which one this is actually. This is this is actually a cool coin. It's a Noah's Ark coin, and it is a Armenian coin. It's a 500 dram Armenian coin. It's very, very cool. And this is considered a numismatic coin. It is a collectible. And what makes this different than a coin that's just a regular bullion coin is it is a graded coin. So it's sent to a company. This particular one's ICG, and again, ICG isn't one of the doesn't seem to be the favorites among the coin collectors. But I like it because we get various coins from them, everywhere from everything from Noah's Arks to Chinese pandas to our Australian kookaburras, which is one of my favorite coins. But they are collectibles, and a collectible not only has a value in the silver content itself, but there's a numismatic value in it, in the perfection of the coin or in the grading of the coin. And the grading could be anywhere from, there's AU grades, there's BU grades, and these particular coins that we deal with for the most part in the business that we're in are MS 70 coins or mint state 70. And I believe the mint state, Rod, and I'm not sure if the mint state start at 59, I believe, and go up to 70, something like that, but 70 being perfect. So an MS 70 Silver Eagle is the mint state 70 Silver Eagle. It is a collectible coin. And the only thing I can really relate it to when people go, well, it's not worth collecting that. Well, one of the coins, a Proof 70 coin, recently went for over $80,000. I think it was like $85,000 at auction. It's a very rare coin. It's along the lines of any kind of collectible. People collect, people collect spoons. They collect stamps. They collect muscle cars. They collect baseball cards, hockey cards. I used to be a hockey card collector when I was a kid, and it's a 1 cent piece of paper. We all know that. But I'll tell you, I wish I had some of my Bobby Orr rookie cards from when I was a kid, because I think somewhere I saw the other day that a Bobby Orr rookie card sold for around $12,000 or $14,000. It's it might seem crazy to some people, but if you are a collector in that particular field, there is a value to that collectible that is really hard to put it's very subjective, I guess, but there are those types of collectibles in every single niche on the planet. I mean, I was somewhere the other day, Rod, and I saw a Barbie doll in a antique store or something like that, and it's actually a whole collection of Barbies, and some of these Barbie dolls were $800 and even $1,000 for a doll. And I was going, in my head, I was thinking, man, who would pay that for a doll? And then I was going, well, wait a minute, we'll pay $100 for a silver coin that has literally an ounce of silver in it, which on the market right now is around 20. I think it's 19.20 right now. But it has that numismatic value. It has that value of it being a collector's item. So,
hey, Paul, here's a good example right here. Here's two Silver Eagles. So one's a numismatic and one's bullion. So this one here is bullion, which is worth, the $20 or so. This one here is a numismatic coin. So right. It's a collectible coin. This is actually rated by NGC, which is one of the
higher grading companies.
Yeah, one of the higher grading companies, and this coin here costs you about $100, and we saw some of the when we do our company presentation, there are some numismatic coins like this that are like the 1999 coin that's worth $20,000. There's not any coin that's there wasn't any coin that I remember on that list that was that wasn't at least 5 years old, that wasn't worth at least double to
right.
At least double, if not more, than what this cost, basically, that was at least 5 years old. So
right.
It's just it kind of reaches back to the example he said. It's just like playing in the stock market. You're doing it long term, not for. I mean, obviously, some people are playing that game on a daily basis and moving stuff around. But I mean, most people are, either have a retirement plan that put money in the stock market or whatever the case is, and it's a long-term investment in general. So that's kind of the way you have to look at this, I think. So
right. No, I totally agree with that. So gold and silver coins, folks. Back a long, long time ago, before there was actual money. People actually used, pieces of gold or rock, and at some point in time, there was even, people used stuff like pepper and all that kind of stuff, and a lot of trade went on. But the problem is that, if I had like a goat that I wanted to trade, and Rod had, some wheat that he wanted to trade, there was very little rhyme or reason to how we would make a transaction. well, did I need 2 goats to buy his, 5 carts of grain, and so on and so forth. So they were looking for ways on how to make that trade more even. And gold and silver were originally used in like little clumps, but they still they had little scales, and they would weigh stuff out, and then they could weigh that stuff out, and then that's how they started really using gold and silver as money. So that you would have so many gold pieces would weigh out, or so many silver pieces would weigh out, and then that way, my goat might be worth 20 silver pieces, and his carts of grain might be worth 2 gold pieces or something like that, and that's how they really started to work it out. And it's a lot more complex than that, but just to kind of get you guys into how this all happened. So what they started to do is, at some point, and it was like 5,000 years ago. It was a long time ago. Somebody made the decision to actually pound the gold in specific quantities into like a coin, and it was actually a coin that was kind of like flat, or it wasn't really flat. It was kind of like concave, but they were small coins. So what you could do now is that because each coin was the exact same size, it now made it divisible. It now made it so that it was possible to say, okay, if I have 100 of these, or 10 or 100 or 1,000 of these, now you could divide them up, and you could make things easier for trade. So whoever it was that came up with the idea for it, it was brilliant. It was like, well, okay, now I didn't need to have a goat to trade for that. We could actually say, I can sell my goat for 10 gold pieces, and then turn around and buy something else with 3 gold pieces, or 4 or 5 gold pieces, or so on and so forth. So that's how that stuff all started and got rolling. So it was really, really cool. And now to relate what's going on now with what happened back in the past. And it was back in, I believe it was Greece, and I watched a video on this recently, so don't shoot me if it's not Greece. It might have been, I'm thinking of the other country now, and it could be Mesopotamia or whoever, but I believe it was Greece. And what they did is that there's only so much gold on the planet. So let's say they had 1,000 gold coins, right? Well, what they were running into is that they started to say, well, we could get more gold pieces out of there if we melted this gold down, and then they mixed in a little bit of copper or a little bit of something else in with those coins. And now, instead of having 1,000 of these gold coins, we can mix in X number of percentage of copper, and we could now make 2,000 gold coins. And then they would melt that down, and then they would mix in some more and dilute that more and more and more. So what started happening back then is that you could actually see the difference between a regular gold coin and a gold coin that was mixed with, and I believe it was copper. So they would mix the two. So people started hoarding those gold coins because the gold coins were more valuable. They knew that even back then. So they started hoarding those gold coins because they knew that they were worth more because they were more pure than the other coins that the government was now producing. So it eventually ran into basically an inflationary position that we're in now, because that's exactly what our government is doing now. Is they're taking that dollar bill that we had that really has no value to it whatsoever. It's a value made up. If you look on the note, and we talk about this a lot, if you look on a $20 bill, and I actually don't have my wallet here, but if you look on a regular treasury bill now in the United States, and probably even in Canada or Mexico or anywhere, it says right on it, it's a note. It says treasury note, and a note is basically it's a promise of paying back a debt. So that note is actually that dollar bill that you have, or 5 or 10 or 20, whatever it is actually, it's a promise of a debt. And we won't get into that whole thing today on how the whole treasury works and all that, but that dollar is a promise to repay a debt. So what we're doing now is we keep printing those and printing them and printing and printing them, and just like having way too many gold coins sent inflation, into the system back, thousands and 2,000 years ago. We're doing the same thing with our dollar bill. We've taken something that had value, and now we're just printing more and more and more and more of it. And as we do that, it starts to make that dollar worth less and less and less. And that's what you have to understand as prices go up, that it's actually the buying power of your dollar that's going down, not prices going up really. Now, I know that kind of sounds weird, but look at it this way. Rod, is it not, are chips in a computer not cheaper to make than they ever were before?
Oh, yeah, I mean, absolutely. They're, you know, a lot of things are cheaper to make just because they're, you know, they're more efficient at doing things now.
Right. So if all the things are less expensive to make and to manufacture and stuff now because we've gotten our processes to be better and better and better, why are the prices of computers and things not going way down? Now, they have a little bit compared to, you know, if you compare apples to apples now compared to what we used to be able to get, you know, like our phones used to be.
Funny that you meant apples to apples.
Yeah, Apple, exactly. I'm not picking on Apple computer. Wouldn't own one, but I'm not picking on them. But remember, we had those big brick phones, the Motorola 8000s. I think those things were like $3,000 or something like that. But you know, you had to have one because you were cool. Well, now the iPhones and all that, we're talking about $600 phones now. So the price of those have come down a lot, but the prices of the chips and things to make them have gone way, 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 way down. But inflation holds the price of that stuff up. So the same thing happened when they diluted the money back then with the, you know, adding copper into the gold. The same thing's happening now as we continue to print our dollar. So silver was around back in the day when gold was around, and as governments, you know, started to print money and do various things for money, they always, if they had a problem, and every fiat currency, a fiat currency is simply what our dollar is, and it's a currency that's backed by debt. Like it used to be, Rod, and again, I don't know the exact, but I think if you had a dollar bill in your hand, you knew that there was at least 20% of that, I believe, in gold stored in the treasury somewhere. So basically, every dollar that was printed, there had to be a reserve of 20 some odd ounces of gold or something like that. Again, the numbers aren't that important, but it was backed by something physical. So you had this thing here, but there was a physical thing that kept that value of that dollar where it was. When we went away from that system, which again happened in '71, when we went away from that, it now no longer linked this money, this paper money that, you know, and anything can be money. I mean, this could be money. I just have to print the right stuff on it and then say, oh yeah, it's money. That's what governments are doing. They're just taking pieces of paper, they print on them, and then they say, yeah, that's going to be our money. They're allowed to put into effect whatever they want to be called as money. And so fiat currency is simply a currency that is not backed by anything but debt. We are now in that position globally where every single currency is now backed by debt, because all these currencies that were tied into the American dollar are still tied into the American dollar, and us being the reserve currency of the planet, but now we're just backed by debt. So there's literally nothing physical anymore that backs our dollar. So when governments have done that throughout the course of history, every time that they've done that, their dollars wind up going, that money winds up becoming worthless, and they wind up going back to some type of system with coins and gold, because it's a physical, tangible product that can't be easily reproduced. And that's why, I think that's probably why our government doesn't like it as a currency, because, or as a money, because they can't print it. They can't just print their way out of issues. They have to figure a way out through other means. Now, the point I was getting to with all this is back, and I don't know when Germany had like just horrible hyperinflation. Their money, literally, people were using it to light stoves and stuff like that, and they were pushing it out in barrels because it was just completely worthless. It was a fiat currency that just got hyperinflated. They printed way too much of it, and it became worthless. People were actually burning it up. They switched the money system and fixed that, or kind of sort of, but in the meantime, there was got to be something to trade with, so they used gold and silver to trade with. Anyways, that is happening now with our dollar here in the United States. We're just printing way too much of it, and just printing and printing and printing. And you guys may have heard the term quantitative easing. That QE, you heard QE1, QE2, QE3. That all that is them going to the Treasury saying we need X numbers of billions or trillions of dollars, and they push that into the system. That's quantitative easing. So they're trying to take this issue and print our way out of it. So they pour a whole bunch of money into the system that fixes certain things, but then it creates other underlying issues that they don't like to tell you about. They just say, oh yeah, we've got all this money now and we can spread it around. So that's quantitative easing, and that's exactly what they did back in the day in Germany and all these other countries that had issues. And eventually they always seem to go back to gold and silver as money, because it's, again, that physical, tangible thing. Now, I read something the other day that was really, really interesting about gold, and the reason that the prices are now back. Gold and silver are off, I think, Rod. I think they're off about 35 or 40% off of their high. Gold got up into the 1900s and almost hit the $2,000 mark. Silver was up at I think one of the times I saw it was in the 40s anyways. I bought some around 32, but what we had some notes the other day. The historical high for silver was actually in 1980. That was 49.45. That was the highest historical high. But
and there was just really a spike, and it was a very short time. So I'm not sure what caused that in 1980, but it spiked up for, I think it was really just a few days, and then it came back down to normal. So I'm not sure what caused that. I hadn't really researched that, but it definitely was just a spike in that particular few days of 1980.
Right. So what I was reading is that the reason that we've backed off and had this 35 or 40% pullback, and folks, again, if you bought up in the 35 or $40 range for your silver, because that's the space I'm in is silver. Rod has some gold. I don't have any gold, but I do have the silver. The reason I'm in there, I just think that's going to be one of the big moves coming up. But the reason we've had that pullback is, one, I mean, gold and silver have been running now for years, since the 80s and 90s. I mean, it's just been a straight up line, and just been growing, and just the value climbing. But one of the things I read the other day is that right now our government is actually, and I don't like conspiracy theory, but they're saying that our government is manipulating that the pricing right now, because when we started to get up into that $1,900 range, they thought that $2,000 an ounce for gold was going to be a real psychological number for people, and that if gold hit that mark, that people were going to literally flood out of dollars and be pouring their money into gold, and they didn't want that to happen. They knew that if that happened, if there was a run on the dollar where people were dumping it to buy gold, that the gold prices would skyrocket even further, and as that started to happen, more and more people would dive out. So the experts in the field actually say the government, since that time, has been making huge pushes in the gold futures, selling gold futures to drive the price of gold down, and then they buy up physical silver to be able to ship that physical silver to Eastern countries, China and Japan and stuff like that, because China right now is buying like crazy. But I know this is a little bit of a rant tonight, but I wanted people to understand really one the different types of silver that there are, that the fact that there is collectible silver, and then there is physical bullion silver and gold that's really what we're going to use for money at some point. Now, I don't know if they're ever going to go back to gold and silver again. The last time that we had the ability to get close to that was around the time of, I think, Reagan. And I think Reagan was actually going to bring us back onto the gold standard, where they could actually say, okay, we're going to reattach gold to the dollar again, so that we could keep this inflation and deflation and all that stuff in check. I think he was the last president where it was actually close enough where the amount of dollars that we had and the amount of gold, physical gold we had, was, and the value of that physical gold was close enough where we could have reattached them back to a gold standard again. but I think we're way off that base now. And I think if we went back to the gold standard, somebody said it would be like $10,000 an ounce gold. That'd be good for you, Rod, but I don't know about some of the other people. But gold and silver have literally been a go-to money because of the tangible physicalness of it. You can't print it. You can't. Yeah, you can melt it down and stuff like that, but once money is minted, they really don't like to melt it down, and it just makes a more solid monetary system for us to be on. So gold and silver is something that we've always looked to when it comes to trying to get out of that shady area of all this fiat currency being out there, and our government's printing billions and billions of dollars worth of it. And then, like we were talking about, those numismatic coins as well. Those are just simply collectibles. Those are coins that people enjoy with their kids, their grandkids. I love researching the background of the, you can research the background of the artist and where the coins came from and all that kind of stuff. So there's the numismatic collectible side of it as well, and that's kind of the side that we're in one of the businesses that Rod and I are in. And sometime here in probably the not too distant future, we will see again where either gold or silver or maybe both will be part of our monetary system again, and we'll be able to maybe, I don't know about saying hopefully, but it actually helps control the amount of money that is out there, because it's something that our government can't just go on a wild rampage and print whenever they want. So we really expect gold and silver prices in 2014 to get back to those highs that they were not too long ago, because of that, because a lot of these factors, because we're still printing, because there's not that much of it out there. They were even saying that physical gold is being bought up at such a high rate right now, and there is paper gold, Rod. I don't know if you know that when you buy, somebody buys a gold stock, like they buy gold, and they go, yeah, I bought 1,000 contracts of gold, 1,000 ounces. Obviously, you don't have that physical gold, and probably neither does the bank or wherever you bought that certificate from. And that's the issue that they're running into right now, that if everybody went and took their gold certificates or their silver certificates, their stock certificates, and they tried to cash those in right now for the physical gold, they don't have enough in their vaults to be able to push those contracts out. They just don't. And that's part of this weird balancing act that they're trying to do right now by manipulating the price, keeping the price down. When they push the price down, a lot of people freak out. They jump out of it. They send their physical gold and silver back in, and then that allows the government to turn around and feed that physical gold and or silver back out to people that they owe that gold and silver to. Some of the bigger companies like China and all that kind of stuff. But I know that's kind of a little bit of a weird rant tonight, but I just wanted people to understand a little bit about silver and the precious metal side of money, because it is still it's still really the only physical, tangible money that's out there. And what you're playing with every day in those dollars, that's just currency. It's really it's phony money. It's a lie. It's just a piece of paper that they printed on and said, hey, this is now going to be what we call our money. And any government can do that. They just have to determine what type of paper they want to use, what type of ink they want to use. They print on it and they go, okay, this is going to be worth X number of dollars, and this is how we're going to trade it. And that's how they do it. So eventually, hopefully, we get back to a space where we don't have to go off of what our government tells us it is. We can actually go to something that's more physical, tangible, a little bit harder to carry around and stuff, and you might have to have your wheelbarrow full of gold to be rolling down to the store to buy your groceries, but that would be weird. But hopefully we don't ever get to that space at all. But that's my rant on silver. I mean, it was just a horrible, weird little rant, but I just wanted people to know a little bit more about currency and about actual physical money and the different types of silver, because I had somebody ask me about that today. It's like, well, what's the difference between you know, a numismatic collectible coin and what's the difference between silver. You don't want to, if you have one of those numismatics, Rod, you don't want, I actually had a friend of mine that had one, and he broke it open so that he could have the coin. You don't want to do that. That kind of takes away from its collectability.
Right, exactly. Well, you know, it's just like Barbie dolls or, you know, different things like that. Hot Wheels, I mean, all of those things, you know, they have, the ones that have value in them are worth a whole lot more if they're, you know, if they're still packaged rather than being unpackaged. So it's the same difference.
Absolutely. If they're in their blister pack and nobody's been playing around with them and putting their fingerprints all over them, yeah, absolutely. Silver's the exact same way. But that's why I choose to collect silver anyways. I think eventually the pricing of it is going to come way, way, way back. It's a long-term collecting strategy for me. It might not be for everybody, but it's something that I enjoy. I enjoy learning about the mintage. I enjoy learning about the artistry of behind the coin and the history of the coins and silver coins, the Morgans and all that kind of stuff. It's a lot of fun. So.
Yep. You know, and you know, just think about it. You know, the paper dollar is going to always be worth $1 no matter how long you keep it. And the dollar is going to be, you know, it's going to, you know, whatever the inflation is, you're going to have 20 or 30 or 40 of those paper dollars to buy something, where, you know, the silver and the gold always, you know, increases in value as that inflation goes up. So you still only need one coin to buy the same thing you might need 30 or 40 paper dollars to buy, you know, down the road. So, you know, that's just kind of how inflation works. So, you know, the paper dollar is, you know, it's always going to be worth $1 no matter how long you keep it. But, you know, it's going to be less valuable because of inflation. So,
yep.
Anyway,
the more of them out there, the less they're worth, because then they're just not as fun to have, I guess. I don't know.
Yep.
That's it. That's my rant. I'm sorry. That was my silver deal.
Okay, so this is Rod Davison coming at you from Fresno, California, and tomorrow we're actually going to be talking. Tomorrow is Marketing Monday, so we are going to be talking about AWeber, and we're going to actually do that in 2 parts. So tomorrow we're going to be talking about AWeber, which is an autoresponder. And if anybody is in the marketing, you know, doing marketing as their business, or have any sort of online business, or, you know, whatever the case is, you really need to have an autoresponder. So we're going to go through how to set it up, how to set up follow-up lists, you know, automatic lists, broadcast lists, you know, how to create opt-in forms on your website, whatever the, you know, whatever you need. So that's going to be Monday and Tuesday, and so we'll hope to see you there tomorrow.
Cool. Thanks, guys. And Wednesday we're going to have some mindset stuff. Thursday we're going to have some money management stuff. So that's kind of going to be everything for the week. So again, my name is Paul Charron, and they're coming at you out of Las Vegas, Nevada. You guys have a fantastic night, and we'll see you again soon.
Yep, and that Thursday money management, that's going to be a really cool deal. That was that class that you went to on that. What was the name of it again?
The Millionaire Mind Intensive. It's a T Harv record deal. It's really cool stuff. So yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, when you implemented that after taking that class, it's really made a big difference on how you're saving for vacations and your play money and build money and everything else, right?
It's important that you catch that one, guys, because it will literally, if you use this system, you literally cannot be broke. You cannot be penniless with this management system. It's very, very powerful stuff.
Yeah, it's very cool. So anyway, we'll see you later, and we'll catch you tomorrow night, 7 p.m., and that's Pacific Standard Time, and we'll catch you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Bye.